Hey guys, carrying on for Fargo, Season 2, Episode 7, Did You Do This? No, You Did. And I was definitely looking forward to this episode. The past two episodes have been insane. This has been an amazing season. This episode definitely was not as crazy. I found this episode to be a lot more of just kind of like reactions to everything that's happened. Because there's been so much going on, I think we honestly needed an episode like this. We need an episode to calm things down a bit. And this episode was still really good. Was it one of the strongest of the season? No, in fact, I do think this is the weakest episode of the show so far. I will definitely agree that I think this is the weakest entry. But that's not a problem because this still was a great episode. This is just a show that's just so great that even when they give us even when they give us weak episodes, they're still great because there are some really great moments this episode. It's just it wasn't as high energy or high tension as the past two have been. So that's why I didn't like this one as much. I still really did love it though. There were some really amazing scenes. Let's just get in this episode. Like I said, I really felt like this was like the calm after the storm that we've had, because there's more that's going to happen, definitely. But right now, at least, we have four episodes left. I think it was good that we had an episode to kind of dial things down a bit. So let's just get into it. So we get what I think is probably my favorite cold opening we've had so far. I will say that. That's one of the things this episode definitely has, my favorite cold opening. We see a quick glimpse of a shovel going into the ground, and this really goes with how I say, like, every episode feels like its own thing, because all the cold openings, I mean, they're just so good, and we move to this office, a guy is talking, we don't even know what he's talking about, and it doesn't matter because as soon as he talks, two window washers pull up and kill all three of them. It really is an insane scene. It really feels like something like a Quentin Tarantino movie or Martin Scorsese movie. That was a really great way to start the episode, and we realized that Bear was one of these window washers, as well was Ricky. Who Ricky is very important in this episode, definitely. Ricky has a lot more to do here. So basically, we see that Ricky also has like he has facial hair now, and Ricky seemed really happy right before the shots are fired, and seconds later, Gail Kitchen and Joey Seymour, then Bruce Bolton is drowned in a toilet, and finally, then you see Mickey Groot getting shot in the head. So, of course, these guys we haven't seen since episode 3, if you remember that whole party that they had in episode 3, that's who all those people were. So, they killed off really small characters, but they're still just important because they're still Gerhardts, they're still part of the kitchen, kitchen group, and I like seeing that. So, of course, the big question we had though going in this episode is who the hell survived? Because last week it looked like Dodd had died. We didn't know if Floyd made it. We didn't know who made it. And we found in this episode that the only person that didn't make it was Otto. Otto did in fact die, which we get two big casualties in this episode, definitely. But this episode is probably the one to focus on the Gerhardts the most. We focused on the Gerhardts a lot, but this was pretty much a Gerhardt-centric episode because Peggy does not make an appearance at all in this episode, surprisingly. Ed is barely present. Lou and Hank are in it, but this mainly focused on the Gerhardt's reaction to all that's been going on, and I thought that was really great. Specifically, Simone, Floyd, and Bear. They're the three characters we focus on. So Simone and Floyd did make it out, which I was surprised that Simone did. I mean, I really didn't think Simone was going to make it, but we did see her in the promos. I knew Floyd wasn't going to die. There's no way they're going to kill her off. I don't see them killing off Floyd till, like, maybe the penultimate episode. I could see them doing that. But Otto wasn't so lucky. We see him being buried alive with Floyd's wedding dress next to an empty grave with Rye's headstone and belt buckle. And you really see how defeated they feel. I mean, this is probably the first time that they really feel like they're not winning. Because let's face it, they've really been on a hot streak. They've been taking out Kitchen Brothers left and right. And it really didn't seem like they had any chance of not winning. But now that Otto's died, you really see that they're starting to feel like, you know what, we're kind of vulnerable and we might not be as strong as we think we are. It was really interesting to watch, and I really like seeing that here. So as the service is wrapping up, Bear and his bearded friend come out of the Gerhardt house, and it turns out that Ricky is from Buffalo, and he's there to help the family with their little mafia problem. And Ricky, this character, yes, he is a new character. I thought he fit in there very, very well, because he really wants to help them out with what's going on here. And Bear wants to talk to Floyd about the state of things, so she tells Simone to go tend to lunch. And Simone insists on being part of the conversation, whining about how she's grown up. But as we know, she's also working for Mike. So obviously all she's saying is bullshit right now. So very interesting stuff here. I really did care about Simone in this episode though, because I really did see Simone as just the girl that just did too much. She wanted to be on both sides. She wanted to find a way to play both sides, and she just couldn't do that. I mean, you can. She's trying to play both sides in this episode, and we'll get into what happens to her, but definitely I knew this was not going to work. There's no way Simone was going to keep playing both sides. It wasn't going to work here. So Bear proceeds to tell Floyd that they got 5 of the Mafia guys, but there's also some retaliation. Of course, all the people that we just saw die, those people that died. Of course, others are unaccounted for, including Hansi and Dodd, because they don't know where they are. They don't know if Hansi and Dodd are alive. As you know, Hansi is going after Ed and Peggy, and Dodd, we don't know what the hell happened to him. So basically, they don't know, if they're winning, if they're losing. And I like seeing that. I really love that uncertainty in this episode because, like I said, they've really felt victorious throughout most of this season. I think this is the first time we've really seen the Gerhardts not feel like they're in power. Now they kind of feel like they're being defeated and that they're losing. And it's interesting to watch. I definitely like seeing that, I have to say. I definitely thought that was really great. So Bear says that his lion, Floyd says that her lion didn't raise that boy to be killed by small town muscle. Obviously she's talking about Otto and how Otto, of course, the whole thing with Dodd, Otto raised Dodd to be this violent boy, and she always knew that Dodd's going to be victorious. She knows Dodd's not going to die, and I like that confidence in her, but you don't know, honestly. To me, this just seemed like Floyd being like, I think Dodd's gonna live. She wants to say to herself, okay, Dodd's gonna live. Dodd's gonna live. He can get himself through this. But because of the situation they're in, I honestly don't know if Floyd really is sincere here. I think Floyd is just trying to keep herself, in high spirits so that way she knows that someone in her family's alive and someone's still fighting for them. Because they really do seem to be losing in this episode. So Bear counters by saying he always thought the same about Rye, and Simone interjects claiming that they're all just men and how Dodd isn't exactly the shark from Jaws or something. And I love how Simone always tries to, have full pop culture references, showing that Simone really isn't all that smart. She's really not. Like I said, she is playing both sides. So Floyd slaps Simone and starts going off about how she's no different than her father. And I like that Floyd slaps some sense in there. Because, yeah, Simone really, she doesn't fully understand what's going on. She really doesn't. She really hasn't had to deal with anything. And Simone says that the family deserves the ground. And Simone says as she storms off, she basically just said, I want you all to die. You all deserve to die. You all deserve to, you all deserve to die. You all deserve to bite the dust. And, again, I understand what Simone's doing. Normally her leaving would be a bad idea, but just as she pulls away, the cops pull in. So her leaving was a good idea in the most part because, she could have gotten arrested or something. So remember how Ben and Lou were planning to stop by the Gerhardt home? Well, they do in this episode because Ben wants to bring Floyd in, but Lou starts asking about Dodd, and Bear tells him that he found Jesus and is currently at the monastery, which is not true. They don't know where he is. And as they leave, Ricky comes out to say there's a phone call for Bear. Bear goes to take the message, but whoever's on the other line claims to know where Dodd is. Bear still wants him to take the message, and you don't know really what's going to happen here. This whole episode feels like Bear is being pushed to his breaking point. Bear is kind of the one that hasn't had to endure a lot. He hasn't really had a lot to do. Like, he's had stuff to do, but he hasn't really had to face any casualties or any heartbreak and things like that. Besides, of course, Rye dying, he really hasn't had to face anything else. So, yeah, I really thought that, you really see Bear kind of being pushed to his limit in this episode. So at the station, Floyd sits in the interrogation room while the cops contemplate the whereabouts of Ed and Peggy because they don't know where they are. And Hank mentions how he should have checked on Peggy after he came to, and I like that Hank answered that. It's kind of like he's answering our question. Remember, we don't know why Hank didn't do that. He's like, why the fuck didn't I do that? Because now he doesn't know where Peggy is. Peggy could be gone for all he knows. I mean, we don't know where Peggy is. We know that Hansi's after them, but that's the last we heard of them. I like in this episode that we don't find out their fate. We don't know where Peggy is. We don't know where Ed is. Well, until the end of the episode we do. But we still don't know where Peggy is in this episode. We don't. We never find out Peggy's whereabouts. And it's frustrating, but you have to think it's frustrating for Hank too. And I like seeing that. I like that they try to keep this kind of in certain characters' perspectives. So, we don't know any more information than Hank does. Because if we knew more, I feel like the scene would not be as effective because it's kind of like the viewer being like, well, why didn't you go back? Why didn't you do that? If you would have went back, we would have known what's going on now. So in the long run, it was a good idea because it keeps me looking forward to next week's episode. Obviously, I'm already looking forward to next week's episode, but it gives me another reason to look forward to it. So Hank and Chief Gibson go into the interrogation room to talk to Floyd. They basically ask how much she can take. How much can she take? How much more stress can she endure? But they don't know how tough she is. And she basically tells them that her boys won't be stopped because they've lost too much at this point. She brings up Ed, but Hank tries to convince her that he has nothing to do with the mafia. Because remember, she wants Ed dead. That's who she wants. She wants him gone. She wants him to be taken out. She wanted him dead last week, and Dodd was gonna go after Ed. And I like that Hank's saying that he has nothing to do with the mafia. Yeah, he's not. He's just someone that happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. That is exactly Ed and Peggy's story. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and she feels that Ed is a sleeper agent, and she won't stop either. So the question is she going to snitch? Is she going to tell the truth? I mean, you can definitely tell that she really does not trust Ed. Now, her claim might be true at the end of this episode. We will get into that. So Simone goes to see Mike, and we see Mike isn't too happy to see her. He really doesn't want to see her because it's sort of hard for him to get happy about anything while he's being bitched at by his mob boss, Hamish Brocker. And, she's just completely there at the wrong time. Mike asks for 2 more weeks to deal with the Gerhardts, but Hamish gives him 2 days, and then he will send in the Undertaker. Now, a lot of you are wondering, is the Undertaker going to be Lorne Malvo? I knew they were not going to do that. I knew they were not going to do that. They'd be really stupid if they did, and I'm happy they didn't do that, because that's something that, the show hasn't done. They haven't tried to throw in a bunch of random Season 1 characters, because, a lot of shows are trying to do that, and this show really hasn't done that. It's mainly stuck to its own thing. Lou's on the show, but the show, I think, is, while it's about Lou, it mainly is about the Gerhardts. That's really what our main focus in the show is the Gerhardts and Ed and Peggy. Lou just happens to be caught up in all this, and he's, this cop has to make a decision here. That really is Lou's character here. So I like that they really haven't tried to throw in other Fargo characters. So I think that's really good they've done that. I do think we're going to see Lorne again because the show is just renewed for a season 3. So who knows what's going to happen with that. I forgot to say that, but Fargo was renewed for a 3rd season. So Mike starts firing off a variety of quotes when Simone says, are we going to talk, or are you just going to quote the source to me? Remember, he was quoting Shakespeare last week, and it actually looks like he's planning to kill her. Honestly, I thought he was going to kill her in this scene. But Ben and Lou burst in with guns drawn. Ben walks Simone to the elevator. He asks if Floyd knows where she is. Simone starts to seduce Ben, and you can just tell she's not going to stop. She's going to do whatever she can to get herself involved. She's going to do whatever she can to survive, and I thought Simone was very smart here. So she kicks him in the balls, and she basically says that she's done lying for men. She doesn't want to do this anymore. And you can definitely tell that she really is not into this. She's kind of been like the hippie of the show, the flower child. She's kind of been trying to find her place, and she doesn't want to work with Mike anymore if he's going to be this dick to her. She doesn't want to do that. So when this happened, I knew something bad was going to happen to Simone. I knew she would not get away. I knew something was going to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew she would not leave this episode the way she wanted to go out. Just as Simone, and that shows right here, just as Simone goes to leave, Bear and Ricky drive up. Bear really does not look happy. He never does. I've never seen Bear happy. He tells Ricky to take Simone's car so she can jump in with her uncle. And inside the hotel, Lou is telling Mike that he doesn't have to go home, just maybe don't be here. And of course, they don't really scare easily. So Mike has yet another tale to tell and has his own bit of rambling about how he's the future and they're the past. So Lou ends the conversation by telling him not to be offended next time when he doesn't say hello before he shoots. And that was definitely interesting. So Betsy arrives home to find extra pairs of shoes at the door. She gets out a shotgun, but really what criminals worry about messing up, but really, doesn't really matter. And instead she finds Karl and Sonny making a meal. And apparently Lou asked them to look out for his family, which was smart because obviously Betsy really shouldn't be alone. She's not in a state where she should be. And she doesn't seem to be very receptive but obviously she really doesn't know what to do with it. She obviously wants to talk to them, because why wouldn't you want to talk to Karl? He's a very social person, and she strikes up a conversation with them. I like seeing that in this episode. We'll get more into that. So back inside Bear's truck, Simone is rambling. She's trying to convince Bear that she was at the hotel trying to score weed. He's completely silent. At this point, it does not matter what Simone says. What Bear's going to do to her, he's going to do. It doesn't give Matt. He doesn't care what she says. He doesn't care what she has to say. He's not going to let her leave. So he mumbles at a question, wondering why Simone never asked about Charlie. And he stops the truck and forces Simone out of the car and into the snowy woods. And he's still mad about the Dodd taking Charlie to kill Ed, because, it was supposed to be Dodd that was going to kill Ed. And he's still really pissed that obviously Dodd did this. Why is he taking this out on Simone? Because Dodd wanted to kill Simone. That's kind of why I saw this. Because remember, Dodd wanted to kill Simone. That was Dodd's thing here. And as they walk, Bear's trying to put pretty much every death on Simone, which I can understand. Simone's kind of just hasn't really done anything. She's played both sides, and she's really caused a lot of the conflict here. She wanted Dodd dead. She even told Mike, I want you to kill Dodd, including Rise. He even, makes Rise Simone's fault. And that could maybe be true. I mean, we never really found out what happened with Ryan in this court case, which I never think we're going to. I don't think that's something we're ever going to find out. Maybe the finale, but that does not seem to be on their minds right now. So Simone is begging to try to tell Bear how it was all Dodd's fault, and, that Dodd was supposed to kill her and not Charlie, and this all would have been differently. And he tells her to kneel down. She continues to cry and say he can let her go and she'd never return. And he tells her to hush now, and it's really sad, I'd say. He tells her, it's already done, you can't get out of this. And I like that we didn't see her die. There was a bit of uncertainty in what Bear did here. You're pretty sure he killed her, though. It's really sad, and honestly, she had to die. Simone had to die. I mean, she was just causing too many problems. She was playing both sides, and like I said, you just can't play both sides when you're with the Gerhardts. You just can't do that. You have to pick a side, you have to stay loyal to it, and Simone clearly didn't want to stay loyal. She wanted her own way to do things, and that was not going to work for her. And I like that Bear offed her like that. I think that was a really great casualty. I knew Simone was going to go very soon. I knew she's not a main character. I knew she was going to die. Sad to see her go, but really great character, and so too bad she's gone, but she really went out in a great way, I have to say. Great death. So when Bear returns home, Ricky says that the phone guy called again about Dodd's whereabouts, and of course, nobody finds out that Simone was killed in this episode. Nobody, and that definitely is going to be very interesting. So Bear freaks out and tells him there's no more Dodd, and, he basically thinks that Dodd's dead, and Ricky's saying that that's kind of cold, but Bear comes back at him and says that he thinks at that point, and Ricky would rather have had an actual bear on his face. So you can definitely tell that Ricky is not really trusting Bear, and at the station, we get this really great scene with Floyd. I really love the scene here. Hank seems convinced that Floyd will help out because she really seemed convincing. Although I'm not really sure if this is going to be to their benefit. I really feel like Floyd has conditions, and she's willing to put put Hank and Lou in jeopardy if they don't listen to her conditions. Because Hank seems convinced that Floyd will help out. She wants insurance for her family, though, Floyd, and then spills the beans, and she tells them everything. She tells them about the mafia businesses and their weapons and what they do with their weapons and how she cares more about her sons than anything. She really seems sincere here. There's a mafia business going on. The weapons we got under the door, and this really made me wonder, is Hank or Lou going to end up having to fight? I really feel it's going to have to happen at some point. I mean, think about it. They've been caught up in this entire case since day one. They've been involved in this entire thing since episode 1. Wouldn't it make sense? I mean, I feel like that's what's going to happen here. I mean, they were both in the war. Lou has PTSD. It would probably make sense, since he was so traumatized what happened at Sioux Falls, that maybe he'd have to be the one to fight, or Hank has to be the one to fight. Like I said, I really feel Hank's going to end up risking his life to save Lou. I still think it's going to happen here. As soon as they go away, as soon as Hank and the other cop, they go away, Floyd gives this, smile on her face, this despicable smile, either she's really happy that she's getting what she wants, or she's saying, I have a more evil plan that they don't know about, and I feel more like it's both. I feel like she is going to get what she wants, and she's going to make sure it's to her conditions. Whether or not it puts them in jeopardy, I'm not really sure, but she clearly has her way of doing things, and she's not fully telling them everything that she wants, which is smart to do, obviously. Floyd's very smart in that regard, definitely. She definitely knows how to do that stuff. So Mike gets a call that the Undertaker is coming, and obviously he's freaking out because 2 days passed, and Hamish says that it doesn't matter, he's done, and most likely, Mike, you think, is gonna die in this episode. And I was really upset because I'm like, Mike's like the only Kitchen brother left, you better not kill him. So outside the police station, Floyd tells Bear to find Hansy and Dodd, and of course that's a problem, because we don't know if Dodd's out there, and Hank comes out and says that Hansy shot 2 police officers in Sioux Falls while he was looking for Ed and Peggy, and I think this is the first bit of information we got of what's going to happen in Sioux Falls and how crazy that's going to be. We know that Peggy is headed to Sioux Falls. She's going to Sioux Falls no matter what, so Peggy's probably going to die. I definitely see that happening. We don't know what happened to Ed and Peggy. We know that Hansy's obviously after them, but we don't know what Ed and Peggy's whereabouts are, which again, I like seeing. So once breakfast has been eaten, Betsy tells Karl that Lou was originally supposed to marry her sister. This is an interesting scene. It wasn't too important, but I found it to be very interesting, at least. I really like this here, because Betsy's telling Karl about how Lou wanted to marry her sister, but he really just didn't want to wait, so he got stuck with Betsy, and at least he loves her, so that's really what matters. And I kind of thought this as, like, regret. Like, Betsy feels like she's not good enough for Lou. Like, he's only married her because he didn't want to wait. And I felt really bad for Betsy in this scene because, you know what, let's face it, he really does care about Betsy. You know, this is his wife. You know, Lou's really cared about her, and Betsy just doesn't really seem to see that he cares. You know, she doesn't really think he does, which is interesting. So she then asks Karl to watch over Lou and Molly once she's gone, and I like this. You know, she knows she's dying. Her time is coming up. She's looking worse and worse as the episodes go on. I think we're getting to the point where she's probably going to die in episode 9. I don't think she's going to be alive for the finale. I think she's going to die in the penultimate episode. I really do think that's going to happen. Because she seems really convinced that she did not get the Xanadu pills. She took the sugar ones. She knows she did not take the Xanadu ones. It was definitely the sugar ones, and she feels really upset about it. So when he gets her from the table, he hugs her, and then this was very interesting. She goes to Hank's place, and she finds a ton of family pictures, all kinds of crazy symbols plastered all over the walls. And does this have to do something with the alien situation? Hieroglyphics? I mean, we don't know what's going on here, but it seems like Hank's kind of his own, like, side investigation going on that's very interesting. I mean, we've always kind of had this, like, presence of some sort of alien there. We've always heard about every episode, they seem to make reference to it, and I don't know if this is going to be like a huge thing, but I definitely feel like we're going to get some resolution to this, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to handle that. So we're going to see what happens. So that definitely is going to be very interesting. So when Bear brings Floyd home, she asks for Simone. And of course, that's an even bigger problem because Floyd doesn't know that Bear just killed Simone. So what's going to happen with that, we don't know. I like that Floyd says, look, I was a bit hard on her. I should have been nicer to her. And Bear obviously can't say anything because Simone's dead. So even worse, Ricky shows up to say that Hansy's on the phone with news that they found Dodd. We don't know how they found Dodd, and obviously that's not good. We're going to see what happens with that. That definitely is going to be very interesting to see what happened with Dodd, especially when we get to the ending of this episode, which we'll get into. The ending of this episode was truly awesome. I really did love it. We see back at the hotel, Mike is preparing for the arrival of the Undertaker, and the Undertaker and his 2 men, they walk in, they're looking like a badass, but they're immediately killed by Mike and Gail Kitchen. The phone rings, and Mike lets it go on for a few seconds, because, you know, he's got blood all over his hands, and he obviously doesn't want to, you know, answer the phone with blood, so he's waiting for all the blood to drip from his hands, and, we see that it's Ed who's on the phone. Ed somehow got Mike's number. I don't know how. I don't really think it matters. I know a lot of people are saying, well, how the hell did he get his number? I don't think it matters. I really don't think it does. Because whatever happens, he has a very interesting proposal here. Basically, remember the fear that Floyd's had, how she thought, oh, you know, he's a side agent, or we shouldn't trust him. That might be true after this episode, because Ed asked for them to offer up Dodd, and that's how the episode ends. So, we don't know why Ed is doing this. We don't know why he wants to work with them. Clearly, he feels it's his safest bet, and it might be. I mean, remember, the Gerhardts are losing, guys. They're really not winning. Even though they took out a few, they lost a lot of casualties. They had to kill 2 people. Two of their family members have died. Well, now 3 of their family members have died because, of course, Simone. They don't know about Simone. But, what's happening with Peggy? We don't know where Peggy is, and I don't think Ed even knows where Peggy is. He's kind of on his own little thing right now, so we'll have to see what happens with this. What is going to happen here? Is this safe for Ed? Is this a good idea to do what he's doing? I mean, I really feel Ed's going to get himself killed. I'm surprised that Ed's not already dead. I would have thought by now he would be dead, but no, he's not, and I like that they've kept him on because it's made things more interesting here. So Mike and Ed apparently are going to be working together, and this is definitely going to be interesting to see where this is going to go, and this is the way that Mike can create a bigger army, because let's face it, Mike really has no one. He has him and Gale. That's it. Those are the only 2 people he has right now. So let's see what happens with that. Definitely is going to be very interesting to see what happens there. But like I said, one of the things about this episode I really liked is that it didn't really have any of the main cast here. Focused on the Gerhardts and Betsy. Those are our 2 plots, and they both are really strong. I definitely really like that, and I thought that was definitely very well done. Is Dodd alive? We still don't know. We don't know if Dodd's alive. We know that Hansy found him. We know that Ed wants him. So is Dodd alive? Is his body dead? Is he just unconscious? We don't know what's going on with him. He's in the description for the next episode, I will say that. But he's not in the description for episode 9, so he could very well be dead, or he's getting tortured and he's going to be dead next week. We're not really sure. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. I mean, I can't really say if he's dead or not, because I don't know if he's dead or not. We'll have to see what happens with that. So, is Dodd dead? Your guess is as good as mine, guys, because I don't know. I don't know if Dodd is dead or not. I can't say he is. I can't say he's not. Your guess is as good as mine. So we'll have to see what happens with that. What is Floyd's plan? Like I said, she gave for Hank this look like she wants to work with them, but I feel like she has a much deeper plan, and we just don't know what it is. I'm not really sure. Definitely she has something up her sleeve, and we'll have to see what happens with that. That definitely is going to be very interesting. But like I said, I really feel that Betsy's going to die soon. Did she take the Xanadu pills? Is she just delirious? Like, is it really helping her? I'm not really sure. Did she take the sugar ones? I mean, she's convinced she did, but did she really? What the hell is up with all this research? What is it about? Why is Hank doing this research? What's going on with that? We're not sure. We're going to have to find out what happens next week, because that definitely is going to be very interesting. I'm not really sure what that's all about. But overall, guys, another really great episode. Like I said, I did feel this was the weakest of the bunch, just because it didn't have Peggy. It didn't have the fun stuff. It was a much more darker episode than we've had. I still really did love it. I still thought it was a really great episode, just not as strong as the past 2 episodes. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Like I said, I did really enjoy it. I just didn't feel it was as strong as the past ones have been. That is my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Jessica Jones, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.